Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is my colleague, Alan Ohnsman, Forbes senior editor and author of the Current Climate newsletter. Alan, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, Brittany. Always good to be with you.
Alan, you and I have had conversations before about Tesla's legal troubles over Elon Musk's claim that Teslas can fully drive themselves, despite that not being the case. Now you're reporting that the California DMV determined Tesla deceived consumers with its self-driving claims. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, this is a case that was originally filed in July 2022 by the California Department of Motor Vehicles. And after numerous complaints, basically it said that the use of the terms autopilot and full self-driving by Tesla were deceptive because they sound like the car can drive itself, and especially full self-driving, or FSD. And yet, as the state pointed out, the cars can't drive themselves. Someone has to always be paying attention and cannot rely on the vehicle to do this. And then it finally made its way to a administrative law, basically a trial, state-level trial this summer. And there were numerous technical experts called by the state of California to explain exactly what an autonomous vehicle is and what it is not. And Tesla's defense in all of this was surprisingly weak. They didn't have much in the way of their own technical experts or company engineers to sort of support their claims. And ultimately, in November, the judge in this case, she ruled that indeed Tesla was using deceptive language in how it describes these features. And her initial order, which was announced last week by the DMV, was that Tesla not be permitted to build or sell cars in the state of California for a month. DMV, when it made public this order, they decided they would not prevent the company from producing cars in California. It has a big plant in Fremont, California, but that if Tesla did not alter its language, it would move ahead and request a 30-day sales suspension in the state.
Before we get to that and what this all means for Tesla, can you boil down what exactly the definition of an autonomous vehicle is, and how far away is Tesla right now from that? I mean, how big of a disparity are we talking?
Well, over the past decade or so, there's a chart of levels of autonomy that was created by SAE, which is the Society of Automotive Engineers. And this has generally been accepted by the Department of Transportation and most industry experts as a standard. And the scoring of the level of autonomy basically goes from 0 or 1 up to 5. 0 or 1 meaning no consequential forms of automation on the vehicle at all. Level 2 is essentially where the Tesla system comes in. And level 2 means a partial automation, that it can do some functions, but requires driver oversight. Level 3 might be something like highway level autonomy. So when you're driving on the highway, it's determined that the car can drive safely without constant monitoring on the highway, and that would be a level 3. Level 4 is considered full autonomy, and that would be like a Waymo robotaxi. There's no driver, and the vehicle can handle itself under standard road conditions. Tesla has kind of tried to blur the lines over the last few years with its use of FSD, full self-driving, and the name certainly sounds like it can drive itself. And yet in engineering documents it's shared with the DMV and other regulatory agencies, it very clearly states that it cannot drive itself, that someone has to pay attention all the time. And so yeah, those designations to be considered autonomous would be SAE level 4. Level 5 is, no one has accomplished that, and we don't know if anyone ever will. And that essentially means a robotic vehicle can drive itself anywhere under all conditions all the time. And it might even exceed what a human could do. No one has claimed that. But where we are right now with the sort of state-of-the-art Waymo vehicles and some other companies that are developing this would be level 4. As of today, it's not clear that Tesla has achieved level 4, even in its robotaxi pilot in Austin, Texas, because it has back-end monitors, human monitors that are remotely able to control the vehicles to some extent, and there's a human safety driver in the front seat. It's not clear whether Tesla has actually achieved level 4 in its robotaxi demonstration program at this point.
To your point, if I hear full self-driving, I mean, one would assume you can get in a car, you can kick up your feet, you don't need to worry about getting point A to point B. That's not your responsibility or your problem. So the fact that that's not really true, I mean, I can see where the problem lies here. And I know that you said the DMV is giving Tesla 60 days to change the marketing language. How drastic does that change need to be?
It's not entirely clear. It's going to be a process of negotiation. But here's the thing. So far, there's no indication that Tesla is going to adhere to this order. They put a pretty tough statement on Twitter, X, Elon Musk's social media platform, that basically said no customers have complained about this that we know of. They were not involved in the ruling by the judge and in that trial, and Tesla sales will continue in California uninterrupted. So what they're saying is it doesn't sound like they're going to comply. I've reached out to the DMV on a couple of occasions to see if the company has formally replied to them. No response thus far. I'm waiting to hear back on that. But yeah, it's a problem because it's really easy for DMV to enforce this. In the state of California, Tesla is officially both a manufacturer of cars and a car dealer because it sells its vehicles directly to consumers. Every sale to get a license plate has to be registered with the DMV. Tesla can say, we're changing nothing, we're not doing anything. But if the DMV says, okay, fine, they will simply stop registering those sales, which means you don't get license plates. And if you don't have plates, you can't legally operate the vehicle on the road. So, you know, they don't need, you know, cops or troops or anything to enforce this order. They simply stop registering the sales. Buyers can't get license plates. If you don't have license plates, you can't drive. So it seems unwise for Tesla not to make some effort to comply because enforcing this is not going to be tough.
Yeah, it sounds like I have Tesla's post on X here. The last line is sales in California will continue uninterrupted. It sounds like uninterrupted for 60 days unless they change the marketing language.
Unless they change, that's right.
And so let's say
they've not commented beyond that, yeah.
And they haven't changed the marketing language that we know of as you and I are sitting here. Let's say they don't, and then that 30-day ban is implemented. Are they let's say they still don't do that after 30 days. I mean, are they allowed to sell in California with that language?
Don't know. That's a great question. We're kind of into unknown territory. No one has openly defied something like this. We saw a modification that happened this year with full self-driving FSD, because now Tesla does have new language. When you start your car, they have FSD supervised and unsupervised, and that's brand new, and that language was added in 2025. So right now on your Tesla, your brand new Tesla, if you buy it and you have the FSD function activated, it will tell you this is FSD supervised. You must be responsible to monitor the system. What they're testing in Austin, they call FSD unsupervised. And Tesla's plan over time is to make that the standard everywhere. So someday, if everything goes right, FSD is just FSD. It can be unsupervised, but that's not where they are right now. They may argue that that is already sufficient to address California's concerns because now we've altered the language there. But clearly they'd already done that when this trial was going on this summer. And that obviously was not deemed to be sufficient by the DMV because they continued on with the case. So it sounds like they simply want this to be called something else, driver assist, or something that really sort of downgrades what people think it actually does.
I'm curious if this determination from California's DMV that Tesla deceived its consumers over its self-driving claims, if that's going to set a precedent of any sort, and if other states are going to take notice of that and then legally challenge Tesla as well.
It's possible. It wouldn't happen in all states, but certainly you could imagine New York, Illinois, perhaps Oregon and Washington State, Massachusetts, some of the New England states. It might be some of the states that actually have traditionally followed California's emissions rules that might align and say, yes, this is correct. We also believe Tesla should use more accurate language. I mean, essentially, if a company sells a product that says this cures cancer, and then there's an asterisk, and you look down below and it says doesn't really cure cancer, that would be a problem. That's, the Fair Trade Commission and wouldn't allow you to sell such a product. And that's kind of at root what the argument is. It's like the name suggests something that it doesn't do. And it began with Autopilot. This started years ago. Autopilot comes out of the aviation industry where planes can fly themselves. You set the control to autopilot, and these days they can land and take off in automated fashion as well. And so that's where the term autopilot derived from. When Tesla began using this a decade ago, that was controversial because autopilot has a very specific meaning in aviation. And what the Tesla autopilot features did were in no way similar to aviation style autopilot. And then, of course, the company doubled down on that when they adopted and began using the full self-driving features.
I'm curious what this will do to Tesla's bottom line if this ban does in fact go into place for a month, because in August you had a piece entitled Elon Musk's self-driving Tesla lies are finally catching up to him. And I'm going to quote what you wrote. The legal setbacks aren't a huge financial problem, at least so far, but a reputational one. About 4 months later, is he seeing this be a little bit more of a financial problem?
That's a great question. It's hard to say. There's no indication that he does. The number one thing is California is Tesla's biggest market in the United States. It's probably 20 to 30% of its annual volume in the United States. So it's a very, very important market. If Tesla can't sell vehicles here for a month, that's a financial hit that runs into the tens of millions of dollars. So that's not inconsequential. But yes, the reputational issue is a big one. So at the same time, I mean, we are seeing Tesla sales in decline. They're going to be down sharply this year, both in the U.S. and worldwide. It'll be their second year-over-year decline. So, we've talked about this topic before. Elon Musk has been pushing, hey, Tesla, we're not, don't think of us as a car maker anymore. We're robots and AI and robotaxis and things like that. So the near-term sales hit at this point, given that sales are already declining, I don't know how much pressure it adds to the scenario. One would hope that they would try to be a good corporate citizen and modify their behavior somewhat and not lose sales that they don't have to lose. But we'll see how this plays out.
I'm curious, when you're looking at this, how does this fit into the complicated mosaic that is Elon Musk's 2025? Because we saw him with Doge taking a sledgehammer to the federal government, his controversial wading into politics. I mean, he ended the year on a bright note, right? He had that historic $1 trillion pay package go through. I mean, when you're looking at Elon Musk's 2025, what are you thinking?
It is truly, this has been both, his most chaotic and sensational year in so many ways, because as you point out, he begins the year as a key member of the Trump cabinet, essentially. And for a time, he seems like a de facto co-president until the two of them had a falling out in the spring. They've worked to repair that. He's worked to repair that because it's not in his interest, either for Tesla or for SpaceX and his other companies, to be on the outs with the federal government that has regulatory control over key interests and is a customer of his products, especially on the SpaceX side. And then you add to that, his his willingness to be very controversial in his political views, in his views on race and social issues and immigration, and really being quite polarizing in ways that we're just not accustomed to seeing a public company CEO being. We had the Tesla protests in the spring, the Tesla takeover stuff, and we had cars that were set on fire and stores that were vandalized and things like that, and some real anger being directed at the brand entirely because of him. And yet at the same time, Tesla's board in no way seemed to publicly, at least, admonish him for his behavior and try to rein him in. He has been lower key on at least infuriating the Trump administration, and he seems to want to be friendly with the Trump administration again. But if you go on to Twitter, or X rather, and you look at his posts, they're quite disturbing. In fact, some of the things that he says. That seems to be something that Tesla's board and many shareholders just accept. That's who he is. We live with this. So as you mentioned, he got his pay package that promises to reward him with $1 trillion worth of stock over a decade if he hits all of his performance targets. But now on top of that, we're seeing he's likely to be a trillionaire long before all of that stock comes in, because SpaceX is preparing for an IPO in 2026, and it's likely to be one of the very biggest IPOs ever, and that assures him hundreds of billions of dollars potentially in additional stock value. So, it has been a crazy year, and he's going to end it richer than ever. So, it's hard to draw a comparison to anyone else in this case.
It really is. And then I know you don't have a crystal ball. When you're looking at 2026, I mean, do you think that the year could possibly get any crazier, considering he started the year as Donald Trump's, it seemed like, best buddy, ended it not as much. So, I mean, could it top 2026 at all, or maybe just financially?
Never say never. Things are so far beyond what I would have ever anticipated in the past. I mean, he's had crazy years before. 2018, when he claimed he was taking the company, he had secured funds to take the company private. He hadn't. He lost the chairmanship. He got hit with an SEC penalty. That was the same year he, had the kids in Thailand who needed to be rescued, and his pedo guy comments that sent him to court for that. 2020, when the COVID pandemic began and he seemed to really lose it, hollering about California being a fascist state because it wanted him to shut down operations for a week when the COVID panic began. And he ended up moving the headquarters from Palo Alto to Austin, Texas as a result. He's displayed a level of kind of outrageous public behavior now on many occasions. That now seems to be just factored in, that's who he is. He's not going to change. He's unapologetic about, saying many controversial things. He will be a lot richer, clearly, in 2026, it would seem, with the SpaceX IPO, if that goes ahead as planned. At the same time, I remain really curious to see how people react to Tesla's declining results in the near term. He's promising lots of big things that are coming, robots and robotaxis and cybercab and all of these things. And yet, as mentioned earlier, Tesla sales are going to come in rather poor for the year 2025. So when earnings come out in January of 2026, the market is going to learn that Tesla's revenue and its profit is in decline. Elon will say, don't worry about that. We're pivoting to AI, robotics, and robotaxis. But there's no clarity when those become, significant moneymakers. Is it next year? Is it 2027? Is it 2028? Meanwhile, what's happening with the auto business and all that time? So we are going to see the company, Tesla remains a work in progress in terms of restoring and stabilizing revenue and profit. Q4 2025 will not be good. Q1 2026 will not be good. So what does that do? Is that noise? Is that the Wizard of Oz saying, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain? Does it work? Can you continue to get people not to pay attention to the things that actually make the most money for your company when those things are declining? And that's really what we're going to see over the next few months. So what does that do to his story? I can't really predict where that's going to go.
Well, what it does sound like is that there's a lot of question marks hanging in the air, which means hopefully a lot of conversations to be had in 2026 with you. Alan, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you coming on.
Great to be with you as always, Brittany. Thank you.